Welcome to the August edition of the Tough Love Arena State of the Game stream. My name is Paul. I will be your host tonight. I'm one of the co-creators of Tough Love Arena, and I will spend the next 30 to 60... I'm not doing the intro over again. I will spend the next 30 to 60 minutes telling you all about the state of the game. What's going on in Tough Love Arena, what did we accomplish in July, what are we doing in August, what can you look forward to in the future, etc. And as always, we'll have a Q&A at the end with Twitch chat. Thank you so much for joining me, Twitch chat. So, let's jump into it. What did we do in the past? What did we get accomplished since the last State of the Game stream, which was a little over a month ago? So we did a bunch of events. We were in person at Defend the North in Brooklyn and at EVO in Vegas. We had the big online summer tournament with free skins, of which if you participated, you should have your skins by now. If not, send me a DM on Discord. We pushed a small meat patch. I don't know if people even remember it. Tweaked a few damage values, a few juggles. And there was a small rice patch as well that just recently went out. Changed some things on Caber too. And the big one was, you guessed it, Throw-Tex. Throw-Tex, which I was very excited to be able to add to the game. It was one of those things, people who may recall, if you've been around since day one of public beta, which is 2.5 years ago, you know, there's a lot of choices that I made in the design for TLA in terms of like command jumping and other stuff that was very intentional. This is my idea. This is how I'm going to simplify. This removes a pain point for beginning players. And the way throws worked were not one of those things. The way throws worked were the quick and easy way to do throws. The not that many button ways to do throws. It was not as well thought out as some of the other things that have stuck around. And after just going to so many events and constantly trying to fix the issue of meaty caber and how to make that easily escapable in a myriad different ways, I ultimately discovered, hey, let's just do what other games do. Let's add Throw-Tex. So it took a while, but I'm super happy with it, and people seem to be enjoying it so far. One other highlight I wanted to point out, if I saw you at EVO, it was lovely meeting you. It was a ton of fun. Pictured on the right is Wooly and Reggie from, I don't know what they call it now. I used to watch them back when they were part of that group with Matt and Pat, but I know they do an online series called Let's Play Fighting Games, and they did a wonderful like hour-long spotlight video on Tough Love Arena right after launch. So they came by to say hi here now 2.5 years later, and it was great to meet them. And on the left, I got to give props to my buddy Eddie. He was one of the very important alpha playtesters. I think probably the only alpha playtester who could beat me, which was good. I needed that. So it was great seeing him in person again and selling him some beef merch. And lastly, the other thing that I love so much about EVO is getting a chance to meet other indie developers. So shout outs to all the people I met over the weekend. There was the Chess Fighter, there was Heavenly Parasite, there was Drag Her, Five Force Fighters, Arcus Chroma, Auto Fighter, and Pocket Rumble, and a bunch of other. I think there's still a few others beyond that. Corrupt something. I didn't have as much time. I wasn't able to spend time equally all of them due to proximity and just availability. Yeah, that's that's quite the frown. That's Chance from Heavenly Parasite. Had a nice long conversation with him. So I've mentioned their games before. I saw some of them at Combo Breaker. I'll be looking for ways to do more cross promotion with them later because a lot of their games are super cool. So this is a wonderful thing that I get to do once or twice a year, and it's all thanks to this game. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for helping to make me an indie developer so I can go and meet other indie developers and talk shop and complain. It was a lot of fun. Quick rundown of the monthly survey. This is just trying to... I'm saying a lot tonight. Let's try and cut that out. These were some of the things that either came up multiple times or stood out to me as particularly notable or salient in the feedback for each character. Many people have pointed out the fact that Noodle's old RPS situation of I'm going to whip pounce and then create, even though minus, create a 50-50 because I have a DP. It used to be that if you try to press a button, I DP you. If you try to throw me, I'll attack. That doesn't work anymore. That doesn't work anymore with the way that now attacks don't beat throws. It'll just tech. So Noodle can't force that situation. Noodle's actually at pretty serious disadvantage now. And same with off trample. As Table brings up in chat. I'm not sure how I feel about this. It is a consequence of systems intersecting. This is one of the reasons why people say fighting games are hard to design or hard to make. This is, I'd say, the only thing that's hard about it. This is rollback netcode. Is just you have all these interconnected systems, and a change in one place will have potentially really big implications somewhere else. So I don't feel strongly enough right now to like immediately make a change, like making Frenzy unthrowable or something. But I hear your complaints. I realize that it felt like a core part of the character, and it's something I'll be keeping in mind now that throws work differently. They're going to have a lot of implications like that. A lot of things will need reevaluating. I've gotten mixed reactions to Rice's change. I heard that TLG last Friday had like, what did Shiggy tell me? Some awful number. 6 Rices in the top 8. Although that sounded like more of just like a joke of people all trying to pick Rice, but I definitely will be keeping an eye on that if the new swipe changes made it like too hard to approach Rice. I don't think it would, but we'll see. I didn't get a whole lot of playtesting in, but I also don't want to knee-jerk nerf just because some people decided to meme on Rice for a week. No notable feedback from Beef. Caber complaints, people had some issues with the auto-teching on Caber. Hopefully those are fixed now. Being grabbed out of Caber, that should auto-tech now as of like a patch I pushed in the middle of last week. And the complaints I hear about Caber in feedback, which you're more than welcome to leave, that's why it's there, but I'll address them publicly, like concerns about, oh, Caber is too reactable now, running Caber is too weak, it has no point. That's a totally fair opinion to have, and maybe you're operating at a level of play where that's true, but it's not for you. I saw one interesting comment that was like, it doesn't seem to effectively change Pork's game plan, it's just weird that you added this move that's unusable. And the point is that that's there for a different kind of player, for a different type of player. So, just to explain the design process, I'm trying to, have a balanced and interesting game for competitive players to play and get sweaty about every Friday night at Tough Love Gauntlet. But it's also important to have mechanics like that that are interesting and appealing for beginners. And I have to say, at both Defend the North and Evo, Caber was probably the most popular move, or the move that got the most reactions out of people. Maybe, I mean, Beefcake is always number one just because the animation. I take that back. Beefcake's always number one. But people really enjoyed Caber. People would keep getting caught by it, and then they would figure it out, and then they would jump it, and it was so great to watch that sort of play out. I see people talking about active frames. We can discuss that during the Q&A. And then didn't get a lot of comments on onion and garlic. So the main takeaways are, I see your comments on pork. I'm not concerned. I'm keeping a close eye on rice. We'll see how it goes. And third, I'm aware of the changes to noodle. Don't expect anything soon, but I'm thinking about it. And I have the wrong thing highlighted. Oh, I just got a quick request. Yeah, sure. Onion comments. Onion was pretty strong and pretty fun. This is not like unhealthily strong. These are pretty just good graphs. People just saying nerf the offense. A better tutorial. Interesting feedback. I'll definitely reevaluate that. I know stuff like multi-parry is underreported, and yeah, I could probably do more to describe Onion's game plan. This was an interesting feedback about the design of parry. To try and make a long story short and explain it for the person, in case you happen to be in chat, the question or the comment is, why does Onion's parry do damage? You can do a weird sort of like zoning thing with it. I think it should not do damage. And if you recall, not trying to dox anyone, you can all make your speculations, But to explain, in case you don't remember, day one, Onion did have parry without a hurt box. It was just trying to be like a third strike style parry. And if you were close enough, you could get a full combo off of it, and it did insane damage. And the lightning strike is actually there in order to add a shit ton of scaling. It doesn't do that much damage, but it massively scales the combo that you would do as a follow-up. So that's why it's there. It's there for scaling. Maybe it'd be possible to try and find a way to design the game such that, like, after a parry, you're in a state for, like, 10 frames where your next attack is heavy scaling, but, like, there's just so many weird edge cases to that. And just made it cleaner to just say, okay, lightning strike as a minimum. The parry, this also helps for new players that the parry does something, because people would do the old Onion parry and be like, what the hell was that? So it does something now, and the better players will definitely convert it into something more, but it needs that initial hit, or else it just does too much damage. Cool. Now let's talk about the present. Matchmaking demo. So this is not ready. This is not done. But I keep talking about this feature, so I thought it would be cool to show off. So here we have 2 screens on the current matchmaking build. And you can still do the normal play online, casual match, searching for casual match. I can go in here. I don't need that news. Play online, casual match. And then they match with each other. Nice, right? Okay. That's all normal. But the thing I'm experimenting with is this ability. Right now I just have it down here. That's a placeholder. This is a little hard to see with the Switch overlay, I think. So I'm going to try and do it like this. But you can see right here, it says in very small text, Matchmaker is idle. So I can click that, and now I am in queue. And I haven't actually tested being in training mode. Let's try it out. So now I'm in training mode, doing Onion stuff, and it's currently searching for a match. And then over here, on a separate computer, I will play online, casual match, and they find each other. Right now there's no confirm screen, so that's broken, but that will be a pop-up. So just demonstrating again, you just click that, maybe it'll be on the pause menu, maybe it'll be somewhere else, and you can matchmake that way. So it's not out because obviously there are bugs. There's definitely some issues with handling, like, disconnects, where it can get into a weird state if someone exits while you're doing the, like, side matchmaking, so it needs a lot of testing. But I know it's been very long anticipated, and I've been hard at work on it, and it's been really interesting to try and solve. And it will probably introduce a bunch of other exciting bugs. But I will definitely be leveraging my patrons for that. I might also do, like, a public canary test just so I can get more eyeballs on it. So hopefully expect that in the coming weeks. That's what I've been working on. And now we'll talk about the future. What do we have coming up? So, not much. The main thing right now is I'm trying to stay heads down and not get distracted with balance stuff, which is very easy to be distracted with and very fun to work on, but trying to stay focused on the matchmaking changes. Just because that's been going on for so long, and it will have such a big value add. Especially when school starts in a month or so and we get some more players. I'd love for it to be easier and less painless for people to find each other. You can just click it as soon as you start the game and then be doing whatever, or idle or whatever, and be queuing in to casual. And it's not explicitly shown I didn't show it in the demo, and I'll probably start off with just the matchmake from anywhere, but I also have been working on the dual queuing, of queuing for casual and ranked. That's less far along, but I'm also testing that. I think I'm going to try and ship them separately trying to ship them both at the same time just increases the amount of variables, the difficulty in debugging. So I think I'm going to ship the Matchmake Anywhere first, and then ship the double queue. But yes, those are very high priority for me. Also, I had announced last day of the game that I had just quit my job and was going to spend a couple months off to work on TLA. I ended up spending most of July finishing up that job and prepping for events, and I might have a job again sooner than I expected. So it hopefully is something that will be interesting to tell you guys about. Now that I tried to share too much about my personal life, but it could be very cool. It could be very cool. But still hashing that out now. So we shall see. I shouldn't have even talked about it as much as I did right now. Anyways, just wanted to update you. I previously announced I was going to be on TLA full-time for a couple months. That may not be the case anymore. Stay tuned. And now we'll jump to the Q&A. So if you have a question, starting with the Cecilia, Paul, I think there should be a better way something. I'm going to start reading there. If you asked a question earlier, please repost it, and I will take a look. And now, we will jump into the Q and the A. So, first question from Cecilia. Cecilia? Sorry, Cecilia. Oh, Cecilia! Or at least, I mean, maybe it was always Cecilia, but I read that as Cecilia. Howdy. Paul, I think that there should be a better way to tell people in the game that it's easier to find a match in the Discord than the casual ranked queues rather than making them Google for it. I mean, I ultimately want... To me, the fix there is how can I improve the game to make it the most reliable place to find matches. But, that said, I can definitely do a much better job of surfacing the other related sites. The fact that we have a Discord, the fact that there's the whole About page that has a million things contained in it now. I could be doing more to surface that, so that is good feedback. Please put something to that effect in future requests. Again, nothing I'm going to work on right away, but it's good to hear this kind of stuff. That's something... Next time I'm ready to pick up a project, maybe I'll do that for a week. Flamenco asks, question, how are you so great? Please 5-paragraph answer. Yes, let me structure it in a... God, what was it called? That way you learn how to write an essay in school. You have your intro, where the last sentence has to be your thesis statement, and then you have 3 paragraphs and your conclusion. There's like a name for that standard method or whatever. Awful. No, I appreciate the compliment. I am not great. I'm just a dude. I'm a Paul. Who's very fortunate and very lucky and privileged to have made an indie game that found an audience, to have the financial security to work on an indie game like this. And I will continue to do what I want to do with the game, what I want to do with development, and I will continue to be grateful for people who are interested in the same things that I am. So, insofar that our interests are currently aligned, Flamenco, I'm glad. That was a weirdly clinical answer, but I always want to be very careful about, I'm not going to smell my own farts. And I also I don't talk about my personal life because, 1, I don't overshare online in general, and 2, I think it's important to not trying to feed the parasocial thing too much. I myself follow a lot of YouTubers and can get a little parasocial towards them, so I don't want anyone in chat to think that I'm your best friend or anything. I'm not your friend. I don't know you. But I really appreciate that you watch and that you chat with me and that you play the game and you give me feedback and you get other people into the game, and that's all super cool. And collectively, that's all very supportive, and I appreciate that. But, I also want to be super clear on boundaries. In one word, boundaries. So I will take the compliment, Flamenco, and I'll leave it at that. Table says, could you show all the art charts for every character? Yes. Sure. It's kind of like, it's awkward. There isn't like a quick and easy way. I wish there was, unless someone wants to tell me. There's no like export all charts. So sometimes I like copy paste them into the slideshow, but I was feeling lazy today because there's a lot of charts. So, oh, right, I have to share this screen. So here we go for Noodle. Just barely above average on strength and above average on fun. For Rice, pretty average strength and all across the board fun. I guess the average would be leaning positive, but you don't like to see that. That's not cool. That's not fun. That's not ideal. Beef is strong and beef is fun. Nice. Pork is strong and pork is also very fun. Maybe more fun? Yeah. Also great. Onion is strong and onion is fun. Great. And garlic is strong and garlic is fun, except for this, which I'm guessing... I also realized the questions are worded a little vaguely. I've known this for 2 years, but I've decided not to update it because I do want to capture that a little bit. Some people interpret this as how fun is this character... Oh, sorry, I already did update it. Shit. Excuse me. This used to say, how fun is this character to play? And people used to interpret that as, how fun is this character to play against? And so they would really downvote Rice. So at some point, I updated this to how fun is to use. So I'm surprised to see someone use garlic and be miserable about it. But otherwise, very positive on garlic. So, yeah, the spices are all positive on axes. The meats are all positive on all axes. And both of the carbs are middling. Which, honestly, they often are. Noodle has been middling in strength for a year, kind of intentionally. Rice has always been kind of middling in terms of fun. But Rice being not as strong is relatively new. Noodle being not as fun is relatively new. That's usually a little bit higher since we added soup. But those are the charts. Joro asks, question, are palm changes dead? So Joro is referring to, in fact, is it still on Canary? Or is that something else? Oh, Throwtech. I had all these changes. Let's just let's show them off. Let's make it into a conversation. Let's do a little demo. This would be in the very well-titled branch April Balance Patch. Check out BP 2304. So, for a while, I was testing a bunch of balance changes. Uh-oh. It's broken. Oh, maybe... let's just not do that. Let's go to this. Yes, okay. For a while, I was testing a bunch of balance changes around Palm, and specifically adding Palm as a command normal, as a way to give meats something else to do in neutral. So you have your heavy punch with about this range, about the red line, and the Palm takes you way further. The trade-off being you can no longer RC Palm. It's purely a poke. Just a poke. It'd be unsafe up close, I think. Maybe it's safe in this latest version. I was toying with that. But just having this little poke here. Just a little boop, boop. But it needed playtesting with, versus carbs, which is the main matchup it's for. Although it could be a little interesting in the meat mirror. But if it didn't if it wasn't a useful tool in carbs, then why did it exist? It also forced me, because Palm could no longer be... I didn't want it to knock airborne, and I didn't want it to be RC'd. Pork loses some cool combos, like the combo... Oops. Frame skips. Like, Pork's ability to combo into Chop for a hard knockdown is gone. And the big issue that sort of got me stuck was this utility is the same as Chop. So for Pork, Palm is like unusable, because why not just do the one that has armor and can be confirmed, right? Which means if I like Palm and the way Palm works, then Chop needs to change so that it's not just a strictly better version. And that probably means making Chop worse. Maybe it doesn't have as much slide. Maybe you can't RC it. I don't know. So I don't think the idea is dead, but I hit all these snags that gave me enough of a enough doubt, enough of a hesitation to sort of feel that I wasn't as confident, ready to push forward with it. I needed to let it sit in the oven a little bit more, and I had way more pressing things to work on. So it got put on the shelf so I could finish Throwtex, and now so I can finish Matchmaking. I don't think it's dead, but it is not an active development. So that's the Palm change. Taylor says, thoughts on noodle setups where they're forced to tech into soup and noodles plus 21. They can get another throw after. I think that's fine, Table. I think that's fine. That's way less powerful than the inescapable throw. And I thought that was fine from a balance perspective, to be clear. So this is also fine. Few thing in feature requests, e.g. no close button on the status page in Steam client. Oh, shit. Interesting catch. Yeah, I should probably just make that not even linkable. Interesting. Shit. Yeah. I'll check feature requests later. Thank you. Taylor Rice asking what feedback did you get on Rice. I think I already showed it, but basically just Rice's combos are extremely meter reliant. Maybe add combos that aren't. I'm not going to. Replace teleport. I would remove swipe hitting aerial opponents. No explanation. Rice's post throw tech situation isn't great. That's fair. That came up during testing. This comment, though, was kind of hard to understand because I think they meant Noodle, saying often feels like an inferior version of Noodle. This is also something I'm aware of and trying to address. Yeah, 2 comments referring to Noodle, so that was a little confusing. But that was the Rice feedback. Easton says, when I got kicked from the lobby, it logged me out of my account. That's interesting. I wonder if you getting kicked triggers the flow for handling disconnects, and if the handling disconnects flow automatically logs you out because it's also being used as the log for the login flow. That might be where some wires were crossed. So I'll also take a look at that after. That could be in our dev. That could be a good quick dev stream bug, or just when I'm done with throw teching or with matchmaking. Thank you for letting me know, Ethan. Table says, thoughts on Caber being able to Caber cancel after the active frames start, effectively making close Caber unjumpable if the Pork player is skilled enough. Interesting. So you do meaty Caber. I'm currently okay with that, because that's the answer to jump. And if you anticipate you're playing against a Pork that's good enough to reliably pull that off, then just tech the Caber through, right? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that for now. I admit it's a little unintuitive. The other reason why it's that late into the active frames is because putting the cancel earlier just was difficult execution-wise. If the cancel requires you to cancel before active frames, it simultaneously requires a very fast input, and without inflating the recovery on the fake, now you can use it as like a meterless RC, where you cancel heavy punch into Caber, cancel it again. Waiting until active frames gives the user time to react, increases, make sure there isn't accidental custom combo cancel crap. So it's not quite that simple. February says, as an Onion main right now, I don't have to worry about any changes, right? No, I really like Onion. I think Onion and Garlic are both in really good places. I will say my only problem with Onion right now, from watching tournaments, and by tournaments I mean the exact opposite of tournaments, from watching beginners play, is the fact that you can't get anything from Roundhouse mid-screen without the very precise walk-up combo is confusing to people. People are like, oh, I got this launcher and I get no reward. And maybe they then realize, oh, in corner I could get reward. But if I added one thing to Onion, and I guess this would be an addition, it'd be to give him a, like, shitty combo option of canceling... I might have even tested this in April Fool's or something a while ago, but I decided not to go with it. Like, being able to cancel Roundhouse into, like, a command jump that always knocks down. I agree that it's a weakness, Joro. I don't want you to get a full combo, especially at far range. But at close range, people get the good combo. But it being locked behind execution is not ideal. Like, I love the obviousness of the meats. And even with Garlic, I can tell people in person, like, yeah, after Roundhouse, just mash dash and do the teleport. Joro says, you tested that special Roundhouse special. Okay, I knew I tested it somewhere. Thank you, Joro. Obviously, I didn't love it if I didn't end up implementing it for Onion. So that's the only thing that still sort of, like, tempts me. But I'd make sure I do it in a way that, like, doesn't change any of Onion's optimals. It would be purely the... in the same way that, like, you should never do Caber directly into jump, unless, like, it's burst. I don't know. Maybe there's reasons. But creating an unoptimal combo for people to as a gateway into Onion might be worth doing. That's the only thing I'm thinking about the character. Oh, and parry. I'm thinking about potentially oh, shit, I forgot about this. Oh, I haven't had a chance to talk about this publicly because I had the idea while I was at EVO. And this is the first time I've been on camera since then. I was talking to Phil, who was there, about an insane idea to completely rework parries very fundamentally. And I started a branch for it. I did a quick prototype idea on the plane ride back, and then I lost my laptop. But I did have the changes saved in the cloud. And then I got, focused on matchmaking. So there's if that turns into anything, if I can scavenge a good idea out of that, maybe. I don't love how high reward parry is as a reversal right now, but I like the custom combo nature of it. Parries have always been this awkward thing, so I don't know. Nothing planned right now, but there's some stuff in the noggin. I'm also going through these questions so slowly. Oh my gosh. I gotta pick up the pace. Some nice comments reacting to my whole parasocial game dev speech. Thank you. Esid says, with the changes to throws, would letting normal throw cancel indicator being something you'd think about doing? Esid, that's another balance change that got halfway through and is in testing, which is that Pork's normal throw just is caber. It's like a worse caber that has a worse juggle angle, so you get less hits. But yeah, I do like that idea. That one just needs play testing. I don't think that one's as fundamentally flawed as like some of the palm changes that need bigger investment of time. Let's stop stroking my gross beard right in front of the camera. Cecilia says, are you going to update the FAQ? It's pretty outdated right now. As far as I can tell, it was last update when there were only 3 characters. No, it's more recent than that, but I definitely haven't looked in a long time. Please put something in like feature requests about that. I constantly forget that and the roadmap exists. That's just not... Those were tools I was using very intently for the first like 3 months when I was getting so many questions, and it was really valuable to be able to point to something and be like, this is the FAQ, this is what I'm working on. And then as soon as I didn't need to do that anymore, I stopped doing the extra work of maintaining it. So maybe I'll just get rid of them or significantly pare them down, but it's not a good look to have them out of date, so thanks for reminding me. Taylor says, I stand by that pork is too good at neutral and everything else to have their mix be as strong, so throw caber, for instance. Table says, pork has very good mobility and buttons for a grappler, which is usually lacking either one or both of these attributes. That is true. Table says, thoughts on extended throw boxes. I don't disagree that pork has some strong tools, but and that often grappler archetypes. I mean, you can think of it this way. There's the grapplers like Zangief that are like the classic Zangief, Potemkin, Tager. I'm a big, burly man, and I'm going to two-touch you with grabs if I can ever get in. But there's also a lot of what we call hybrid grapplers. In recent games, that'd be like a Manon, a Laura, an Abel, and I wish I played non-Street Fighter games. I mean, Bridget in Guilty Gear has a command grab, which is very fun to use. Zababy. So I think of pork, even though this is one like misconception I constantly realize I have to correct when I'm playing in person, and people look at like the character breakdown sheet, which is that the meats are the all-rounders. They're not the big bruisers, they're the all-rounders. They just happen to be big hunky dudes. So I view pork more as that, a mobile grappler that has, not the best reward from their grabs, let's be honest. Taylor says, thoughts on extended throw boxes. Now that you are made to shimmy throws, getting your extended throw box thrown can sometimes suck, but that change might also lose some offensive capability. I assume you're talking about the existing extended throw boxes on walking back, and I think those are still necessary. I tested those a little bit. Those are still necessary, or else you just like walking out of throws is too easy. And unless I add like a proximity guard type system, they need to be there. So it's just on offense, you will have more control over the timing and the spacing, and I think that's the best way to do it. Easton says, thoughts on letting mods use even odd frame things similar to throw teching. So Easton is talking about the fact that right now, if two throws land on the same frame, the game has to decide. The game decides someone will throw and the other person will tech. But because pushback is not equal, someone's going to win the situation at random. However, I want to mitigate that as much as possible. So it's just a pushback thing, but someone still needs to win, and it needs to be done in a deterministic way because of rollback and replays. Rollback and replays. So right now it's tied to the frame count. Every frame has an index, a number. It counts from 0 to several thousand over the course of a game. And if it's an even number, player 1 wins the throw tech. And if it's an odd number, player 2. Or vice versa, it doesn't matter. So ESID is asking, can other things use that same mechanic of checking even versus odd frames? And I'm going to say no. It is a very special case just for throwing, and specifically just for that exact scenario of two throw hitboxes colliding on the same frame, as a better way than what it used to be of like throws whiffing through each other. And I think it's the random behavior of it would be unintuitive for people. So if two throws, it just looks like a tech, I think it's fine. But otherwise, it's not the kind of system I would want in the game. It's merely there to solve a problem, a very specific problem. Flamenco says, Board Game Arena has push notifications you can enable when someone is looking to play a specific game, and since it works even when you're not on the website. It's led to me getting a lot more plays in an obscure abstract game I never played otherwise. Might be worth considering if you don't want to take matchmaking off the game. Interesting. So, yes, I learned about this relatively recently at my last job talking about it. I'd never really unpacked it, but there's two types of push notifications. There's push notifications being sent from the client, aka the website, and there's push notifications being sent from a server, aka not the website. Right now, we have the feature of if you have the tab open because you're in matchmaking, you will get a client push notification when you find a match, so that you will see, oh, I should tab back to the game, right? That's good. That's been a well-received feature. That's easy to do because the game is open and it's running, and just anytime the game has a logical fork or decides I'm going to do this, you can say, hey, please send a push notification to the user. However, to do offline push notifications, server-based push notifications, like the ones where I'm not on Board Game Arena, but I get a ping saying, hey, maybe hop on Board Game Arena, or in this case, Tough Love Arena, that requires infrastructure. That requires me to have a notification server that is there listening for that information and knows who is subscribed and can push the notifications to them. And so I don't think it's a bad idea, but it is a much heavier ask. In the zero-sum game that is development budget, I think it's an interesting stretch goal, but definitely work-intensive enough, and another thing that needs to be maintained and potentially scaled and build. Build as in like payment, BILED. I wouldn't put it as a high priority, but it's an interesting thought that I hadn't thought of. I always forget about server-based notifications because I always opt out of them. I don't like that shit as a user personally, but I realize some people might, and it's good to be reminded of that in my own bias. But because of the technical cost, probably not. Joro says, Paul, every time Table asks about balance, I think that's fine. Yeah, pretty much. Table is welcome to keep asking, but I think we fundamentally disagree on a bunch of stuff, and that's fine. Table asks, this is a great one, Table. Table asks, thoughts on changing Teleport's name to Switch or Swap? So Rice's specials all start with SW. I had a weird moment where I was talking past someone at, I think it was at EVO, maybe it was Defend the North, where someone was complaining about Swipe, being like, oh yeah, the Swipe isn't working. And they were talking about Whip. But they just saw the move. They weren't reading the sheet. They just saw the move and they called it a Swipe. And so I thought, I wasn't looking at the monitor, so I was like, oh yeah, Swipe does this, and you can't cancel it in that scenario. And it was this whole fucking thing. So no, I'm going to keep the very, very clear name Teleport. But a very cute and funny suggestion. Lobby issues, getting logged out a lot. Thank you for telling me. I'll look into that. Cecilia says, Paul, are you taking only questions about TLA? I'm open to questions outside of TLA, but I will say no if I don't want to answer them. But you're welcome to ask me, I guess anything. And I will say no if it's not allowed. Thank you for asking. People reacting to the onion suggestion. It is an intended weakness. Yes. Table says, thoughts on a suggestion from Noodle Mains to make Frenzy Launcher closer to 5L mid-screen, significantly improve the reward off reversal anti-air meter. That is very intentional, Table. The spacing of Frenzy is super intentional so that you don't get a reward without meter. But if you do have meter, it's very easy to get a reward. And I don't plan to change that. If anything, I just have doubts about Caber giving as much reward as it does. I think reversals, I would rather have reversals be stronger and lower reward than to buff reversals when they land. Sorry, stronger in that, like, easier to land. Like, making Frenzy thrown invulnerable or something. I'd rather make Frenzy thrown invulnerable, but damage capped at 150, than to make Frenzy, like, have weaknesses on startup, but potentially lead to a lot of shit. Did I say Caber? I meant chop. Yes. The fact that Port can chop. Now, it's not frame 1 reversal, which is how I sort of justified to myself. But the fact that if you're staggering lights, Caber can YOLO chop and turn it into a big boy combo is, I don't know how I feel about that. I used to think it was cool. I don't know if I still think it's cool. Tail says, thoughts on making Frenzy minus 25 so Beef cannot get an unskilled lemon punish? That's an interesting suggestion. That could still, yeah, I want it to be super minus, so it's like, that is the big signal, please punish me. But being so punishable that you can lemon it, maybe not necessary. table, please do me a favor and throw that in feature request. Easton says, rework parries equals grill time? No comment. Burst parries are dead? No, burst parries are alive. I saw someone asking to remove burst parries. I'll never remove burst parries. Burst parries are so hype. People talking about pork and how they're great. Table says Axel's my favorite grappler. Exactly. Rushdown zoner hybrid grappler. Rock the baby. Table says, thoughts on the SWAT change where it loses air and vuln, but is a combo starter now that Rice has now rewarding slow anti-air, now that Rice is stronger. Are you at the least considering state-specific properties? Yes, for people who don't have context, I talked, I think in a previous state of the game, or maybe it was a dev stream, about this idea of making SWAT have unique behavior when landed raw, to make it more interesting as anti-air without accidentally buffing it as a combo tool, which is how it's gone down a lot in the past. I want to make SWAT stronger or weaker, and it ends up having these cascading effects on Rice's combos. So could I find a way to detect just like hitting raw? And then realized, oh, my engine doesn't currently support that. So I could build it, but the engine doesn't currently support it. And because it wasn't a quick, easy win, I set it back down and decided, not worth getting sniped by this and spending a week on it when I should be working on throw techs. So it's not off the table. I would still like to revisit that idea. And yeah, I think I'll still remove the air and vuln table. Especially, I might be able to actually, this is giving me a really good idea. Something that I had to special code SWAT and basically capture moves in general is I made them invulnerable to the thing that could hit them that they're trying to hit, because you don't want to trade an attack with a capture attack, or else the person's going to be frozen in air waiting for the second hit of SWAT. People know this was like a bug in something early on, and then I made a joke in the first April Fool's where I think Kaber just like put someone into that capture state and they just hovered there. Maybe it was Beef's uppercut or something, I don't know. But now that I have the concept of throws and attacks hitting on the same frame and handling that, which I didn't handle before because all attacks are throw invulnerable. Now I have logic to handle throws landing on the same time as attacks, which, on that note, I'm not sold on throws beating attacks. I might revisit that. I might make strikes beat throws if done on the same frame. But that's a tangent. I might be able to use that logic I now have to handle throw over strike and make it like an actual anti-air throw. But I need to handle the fact that it could hit someone who's already in hit stun. But it's opened the door for me. Solving that problem there lets me avoid the awkward issue where, like, even when SWAT had no invulnerability, it had, like, the way I fixed it was that it had active frames for one frame, and during that one frame it had invulnerability. And that was weird. So there are options. None of them quick. All this will come after matchmaking, but there are options. Also, you guys have so many questions, and I'm taking such a long time to answer them. This is a lot of fun, but you're wiping me out. Whip a moment. Cecilia asked, Paul, where did you get your headphones? I would love to tell you about my headphones. Oh my gosh. So my headphones are... they don't make them anymore. But they probably make something similar to it. So yes, this is the more like recent equivalent. It's not cool and purple. It's black and lame. This was a personal mod to add Velcro so I could attach a headset. It was weird and barely worked. The unique thing about these headphones, and I highly recommend them if anyone's in the market to buy headphones. I'm not like the biggest audiophile. I do take audio a little bit seriously. I used to work in a radio station and all sorts of crap. Long history about being an audio nerd / engineer. But I'm not super into like, you have to have $2,000 cans or whatever. The thing about these headphones that I love is that one, these little pillows make them the most comfortable headphones I've ever worn. It just distributes the pressure just so off of the cans so that I don't feel the same like squished head fatigue I feel with other headphones. I could wear these all day. It's so comfortable. I love these little pads. They look weird. They can be kind of awkward. They can be a little fragile if you take your headphones on the go. But for a desk, if you need headphones at a desk, I love these pillows. Second thing is what you can see from the outside and in the description. They're open air headphones, which means there's air holes. You can hear the audio from outside of the headphones. So that sounds a little unintuitive, like, isn't the whole point of headphones so that other people aren't bothered by your music? If you're not blasting it, like, people won't really hear it. But it was ideal in an office setting because it allows me to listen to music quietly, but still hear the chatter and hear side conversations and stuff. If I want to. Like, some people put on headphones to explicitly not hear those things, but I wanted to hear if people were talking about something that I was curious about. I just also wanted to listen to music without bothering people. So I used these at the office for years and years and years. I love these headphones so much. I'm just now realizing I've had them for like 11 years, and they still work, which is amazing. They're wonderful. And also I like open air. I find it more comfortable. Like, my ears don't get hot. They don't get any other type of headphones. I can only wear them for like an hour before I get uncomfortable. These headphones, not the case. So that is my sales pitch. Audio-Technica, please sponsor this stream. Flamenco says, Paul, have you seen the names of Bedman's specials? Bedman's specials? Having intelligible movie names is not how Strife became the best-selling Guilty Gear game. Go ahead and make all your moves even more confusing. Tail mentions backflip is far stronger reversal. That is true backflip roundhouse. But it is very slow. But Garlic can't spend meter for more damage. Also true because of the juggle. The only Lord Corgi, first time chat, thanks for joining us, says, do you think you would ever consider allowing training mode while matching? Yes, we did a little demo of this earlier in the stream. It'll be too much work to set back up again, but if you check out the VOD afterwards on Twitch or when I upload it to YouTube, that is what I'm currently working on right now. Juro, SWAT infinite moment, yes. Cecilia says, will SWAT always be invulnerable to bursts? Because getting SWAT out of your burst feels terrible and doesn't feel as hype as burst parries backflipping bursts. I mean, if SWAT is not made air invulnerable, then I think that would fix the issue you're talking about. Lord Kogi says, thank you. Literally just found the game an hour ago. Slightly obsessed. Thank you. Thank you, Lord Corgi. Table says, do you have thoughts on the purpose of SWAT without air invuln, since swipe is also slow anti-air, even slower, but is also very rewarding? It would be the in-between. / I always want SWAT to be this like stop sign that will catch people even if they try to like fast fall or jump from a shallow angle where slap won't reach. And SWAT, I think, will still have use there. I assume swipe is way too slow to reaction anti-air. If people are doing it, cool, but like, that's news to me. Right now Rice has 3 anti-airs. SWAT is lowest reward, but easiest. Slap is decent reward, but only hits close. Swipe is super reward, with any spaces but can't be done on reaction. Yeah, basically. Pull advertisement. Celia says it gives way better staging for the audio. That's why it was originally done. Interesting. Interesting. I don't have that lingo, but I believe you. Open back headphone. Fred Jory says open back headphones are I hear are good for them highs. She. Dro says, Paul, how much time a day did you spend working on TLA when you started? Oh gosh. I started TLA when I was still at my day job. I worked on it probably for a couple hours 4 nights a week, and in those early days, me and Amy would try to spend like one dedicated weekend day, like the whole day on it, or at least, you know, a good afternoon chunk. So I would work on it nights, Amy would work on it a little bit nights, and then we'd get together on the weekend and we'd work together for a big stretch. And then that was basically, gosh, now I'm thinking back. We had that pace for like the first 6 months, and then lockdown and COVID happened, and then I got injured and couldn't really use the computer for a while, and then I had to get surgery and couldn't use the computer for an even longer while, and I got really into playing Hitman, and I got really into replaying Breath of the Wild, and there were a bunch of things that like totally sapped my productivity. But during that first year of lockdown, 2020, before we launched the beta, I would basically vacillate between these stretches, and I was still employed. I was still employed during this whole stretch, the whole first year and a half. I would vacillate between TLA being like the only thing I was doing outside of work, because we just didn't go outside anymore, and then being like burnt out on it and playing a video game nonstop for a month. So it really depended. And then we launched the beta. It got a lot of attention. I spent every waking moment working on it, including some mornings and a couple of, you know, sometimes lunch during the workday, and just spending way too much time on it, and it was affecting my ability to do my job. So I quit my job, and I'd say I maintained that like super high intensity for probably another like 3 months, and then I got mono in late 2021. If people remember that saga, I missed a bunch of streams for it. And I never fully recovered from mono. I mean, I got back into it, and I would do daytime streams, but like the momentum was sort of killed, and I was like, you know, starting to settle into my new pace of life, and I wanted to try and exercise and do other things, and Elden Ring was coming out, and all these other excuses. It's been a roller coaster. I've had months where I was super about it, and months where the only time I worked on TLA was during the dev streams, and that's one of the big reasons I always try to keep them with regularity, is it makes sure I don't spend too much time not working on the game. I always keep it current. I don't like forget how it works. At least once a week. I always got to work on it at a minimum of once a week, or do state of the game, which counts. Just make sure to add the stream as a highlight if you want it viewable. Right, says Shiggy. Not sure about how to do that. Is it something I have to do right now, or something I do after I finish the stream? And also, it'll be on YouTube soon. Shiggy also reports there was a weird interaction of Rice teleporting and Garlic sneaking on reaction slightly after. They both teleport to a weird position. Yes, that can happen. If it was literally on the same frame, then they would have gone to each other's last position. So, or I mean, Rice would have gone wherever, and Garlic would have gone to Rice's last position. If you have the replay, by chance, I'd love to see it, but that would be a scenario where that would happen, and it would make sense. Otherwise, if you think you can reproduce it, definitely try so and let me know. Table talking more about Rice anti-airs. Mm-hmm. I finally reached the end. Oh my gosh, we did it. Table asked, thoughts on your Twitch schedule still saying Thursday? Wait, on Twitch? It says that? Shit, I thought I fixed that. That would have been like, that's 2 years old then. Goddamn. That's not giving Rice an install. Good on you for trying, Table. After stream from vid producer page, 3 dots, highlight. Okay, I'll try that. Thanks, Shiggy. Cool. Last chance. Isn't teleport and install? You're right. Rice goes into an install where then they disappear and then they come back and they exit the install. Onion also has an install where they start moving backwards and then they enter the hop kick install and they fly forward with attack and then they exit the install. It's pretty cool. It's a cool move. Shiggy says great stream. Thank you, Shiggy. My voice is cooked. My throat is really sore, so I'm gonna go get some hot water and chill out for the rest of the evening. But thank you all for stopping by. It's always a pleasure to do these things. Thank you for keeping me company. Next day of the game will be sooner than later because this one was delayed by Evo, so it will be the first Monday of September. You can find it on the events page about.toplevelarena.com/events, or just keep an eye on our Twitter and Discord. And I should be back for dev stream next Monday. So until then, have a lovely week, you all. Don't forget to sign up for TLG. I'll change the news to advertising in just a second. Hopefully I'll be there as well. You can kick my butt. And have a good night.